One way we can interpret the Michelson-Morley experiment, which showed a null result, so no evidence for an ether, is that the velocity of light is constant in all inertial frames of reference. So if that's the case, then the velocity of light can't depend on the motion of the source relative to the observer. But these assumptions contradict the Galilean relativity principle. So if we wish to avoid these assumptions as the correct interpretation for the result of the Michelson-Morley experiment is to assume that the velocity of light is actually connected to the motion of the source, which has some velocity v. So essentially, it's assumed that the velocity of light is not connected to the motion of an ether. So emission theories are based on this assumption, and these assume that the velocity of light is relative to the source transmitting it and does not depend on the motion of the medium that's transmitting the light. So therefore this would explain a null result of the Michelson-Morley experiment. But the emission theories are contradicted by several experiments, and one of them is de Sitter's observation of binary stars. So if we consider two stars that are close to each other, then they orbit around the common center of mass, called the barycenter, and the orbit is nearly circular. So these are called double stars, and it's assumed that the velocity of light, by which we see them through a vacuum or empty space, is equal to the velocity of light plus the velocity of the source. So this is the component of the velocity of the source relative to the observer, being an observer on Earth. So if we consider one star out of this binary system, so we can look at this as two different positions of the same star, so position A and B, then the time it takes for light to travel a distance L to the Earth from position A is equal to the distance travelled on the speed of light relative to the source. So in this position, the star is going to the left, so it's going to give a kick to the velocity of light. So therefore the speed of light in this position is c plus the speed of the source. So note that the speed of light does not depend on the motion of the medium, so it's constant. And then from position B, the time taken for the light to travel to Earth is the distance on the speed of light minus the speed of the source. So note that in position B, the velocity of the source is pointing away from the Earth. So given that the star takes half a period to move from A to B, then the observed time interval on Earth between the observer that sees the star at A and then at B, which will denote delta t, is equal to the time taken for the star to travel to position B, which is half the period of the orbit, plus the time taken for the light to travel to the Earth from this position, which is tb, and minus the time taken for the light to travel from position A to the Earth, which is ta. So doing a bit of algebra, we get t on 2 plus 2 times the distance to the Earth by the speed of the source on c squared minus v squared. So this term here is called the shift in the observed time due to the star's motion. So for a large distance to the Earth, the shift would become very large and can exceed the orbital period. So that would make the star's motion look distorted or non-Keplerian. But instead, binary stars were observed to follow Keplerian orbits. So these results indicate that the velocity of light is not dependent on the velocity of the source. So therefore de Sitter concluded the velocity of the source does not affect the speed of light, and therefore the travel time is simply the distance travelled on the speed of light. Now another experiment that contradicted the emission theories is the Michelson-Morley experiment done with an extraterrestrial source, being sunlight. So if the source velocity, due to rotational and translational motion relative to the interferometer, affects the velocity of light, then complex fringe changes would have been observed. But these were also not observed in the experiments. So therefore, from all those experiments that we covered, we cannot attain an ether hypothesis. So we have to conclude that the laws of electrodynamics are correct and don't need to be modified. So essentially, the speed of light is the same in all inertial systems, and does not depend on a relative motion of the source and the observer. So a relativity principle that applies to both mechanics and electromagnetism needs to be developed. And this can't be the Galilean principle, as that requires the speed of light to depend on a relative motion of the source and the observer, as we've seen. So this relativity principle has to be replaced, and the basic laws of mechanics that were consistent with those transformations must be modified.